sir. You're about to see something really special.
Really thought this part of my life was behind me. Frenzy disappeared with the drinking 3 years ago. Why now? This makes no sense, and I'm right on the verge of freaking out.
Back from your life,
these people can be animals.
what you burn,
Thingy's out.
some bitter things you should never
Good cheese.
learn. Wallow through the days.
Remember, cosplay's not consent.
So here's to me. Congratulations, me. Yay, me.
This would all be so much easier if I was hammered. Hammered.
Won't be there anymore.
Right.
You can take away the anger, but you leave behind the pain. It's your soul I will
New ventures are always scary.
till I'm melting
Blah, blah, blah. Something positive and uplifting.
tomorrow. But the hurt will still remain. In your soul I'll live forever till I'm melting in.
Don't miss our new film, The Love Song of William H. Shaw, coming soon to a streaming service near you. Hey everyone, this is Cliff from Talking Pondo. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up about spoilers on the show. We do talk about the films in a certain amount of detail, so you may want to watch the film first and then come back if you're not a fan of spoilers. Also, every now and then there's a little bit of adult language, so we wanted to give you fair warning on that. We hope you enjoy the episode, and we really appreciate you listening. Welcome to Season 2 of Making Pondo and Talking Pondo. Talking Pondo is a podcast where Cliff and Marty give each other a film to watch and talk about them in detail. Some episodes will include a special guest. Making Pondo is a podcast where Cliff and Marty talk to people they have worked with and discuss their experiences on set. All right, Marty, we're back.
And we're back once
Woo-hoo.
again. It's Talking Pondo with guest. You know, the new format we're trying out around here. Because, Cliff and I like to talk to each other about movies every week, but it's becoming even more fun to bring another person on and expand the discussion out a little more.
It is. They always seem to bring perspectives that we wouldn't have either thought about or some maybe even sometimes movies that we wouldn't have covered. And I feel like our guest today brought a movie that we probably wouldn't have covered for quite a while.
Yeah. I hadn't even heard of the movie that our guest suggested today. So
Same.
it was...
I'd heard of the director's, that same director's other movies, but not this one.
Right. So today's guest is the host of One Track Mind and also features on the Reels of Justice podcast. It is Ryan Luis Rodriguez.
Woohoo!
Yeah, go Ryan.
Ryan's awesome. Oh, you're the best, man.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good. Glad to have you on.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
great.
this is an absolute pleasure.
Right on.
This is going to be good. I think we got a couple of good films here to talk about.
Yes, I think we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so the movie that we gave Ryan, or I should say I gave Ryan, because this was a movie that I wanted to see that I hadn't gotten around to it. And I thought, well, this would be a perfect opportunity to put this on the podcast since I know Ryan likes a good Cate Blanchett movie. So we're like, well, why not have Where'd You Go, Bernadette, directed by Richard Linklater. And then the movie that Ryan gave us was Starlet, a movie I hadn't heard of, but like Cliff was talking about, once we dove into the director's catalog, I realized, oh, he's directed The Florida Project and a couple other movies I've heard about, but I still haven't seen yet. But now definitely will be checking out in the near future. So
Tangerine.
Yes,
He
Red
wrote
Rocket.
and directed Honora, which just won the Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Oh yeah, that'll be at an art house here
He's big.
in about a week.
Yeah, I'm hoping it comes to my home in a couple of weeks because I don't want to wait till video to see that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he seems to be a kind of a like an indie cinema darling.
Yes.
He definitely seems to be very well. He reminds me of like a not stylistically or his movies, but the sort of Tarantino very early. When he was making his first couple of films, where people talked a lot about him, and his films were
Exciting
and very well
loved, right? And, that's a terrible. That's a terrible example, but I couldn't think of another one anyway.
Well, let's start with Starlet then from 2012. I can't believe this
Starlet?
movie is already that old.
Yeah, that's surprising. The aesthetic, though, like once we start talking about it, though, that 2012 aesthetic is right there. So Starlet is not rated,
But it's
for a good
for
reason.
mature audiences, as it says on the poster.
It is definitely for mature audiences. So here's the tagline, or the log line is: an unlikely friendship forms between 21-year-old Jane and the elderly Sadie after Jane discovers a hidden stash of money inside an object at Sadie's yard sale. And then there's a little more in-depth storyline here. Starlet explores the unlikely cross-generational friendship between 21-year-old Jane and the elderly Sadie, two women whose worlds collide in California's San Fernando Valley. Jane, an aspiring actress, spends her time getting high with her dysfunctional roommates Melissa and Mikey while caring for her chihuahua, Starlet. Sadie is a widow who passes her days alone, tending to her flower garden. After a confrontation between the women at Sadie's yard sale, Jane uncovers a hidden stash of money inside a relic from Sadie's past. Jane attempts to befriend the caustic older woman in an attempt to solve her dilemma, and secrets emerge as their relationship grows. That's basically it.
Yeah, usually these movies where money is discovered and secrets are then being made, they never tend to end well, but they did a few different things with those tropes in this movie.
I agree. The first thing I was very happy about was that, like you said, in these type of movies, these found money movies, there's usually some form of some form of violence that occurs, and that didn't happen in this movie.
Yeah, one of the things I found refreshing was Jane's friend, upon discovering the money about halfway through the movie. We do all sorts of spoilers here because it's kind of hard to really get into the movie without talking about all its different little parts. The friend does not steal Jane's money. In any other movie, she probably would have stolen the money, but I guess in this one, she wanted it spent on her, so that was her own selfish reasons for it. But that was interesting as well, too. Also, when she goes to... is the older woman's name is Sadie, right?
Yes.
When she goes to her at the end and basically tries to reveal the secret of, oh, she doesn't really like you. She just, she has some of your money. I think based on everything that Sadie and Jane have already been through, I think Sadie's already kind of made up her mind about Jane, especially after macing her and discovering that she wasn't really an opportunist. And then she reveals her secret to her at the very end, that she actually has been alone for a very long time and did have a daughter probably around her age, which probably explains a lot of the separation anxiety and issues that she has.
And the frustration.
Yeah.
Of dealing with somebody who is trying to make a connection, but she reminds you so much of somebody that you don't want to remember because it hurts too much.
Mm-hmm.
And having her constantly be there, it's just the constant reminder of what she's lost.
Yeah. And
it's a really powerful performance. The actress, her name completely slips my mind, but she's Sadie. It's phenomenal.
The woman who played Sadie is Besedka Johnson.
There you go.
And she was
Johnson is outstanding in this film.
I agree.
Yeah.
Dree Hemingway was also surprisingly good in this. I hadn't seen her in much else.
She should be Marvel movie famous. Like she should be a big time actress because there's an earthiness to her, and sometimes it's really powerful to watch a performer and think, oh, they're just playing themselves. She gives that authenticity. She's clearly not playing herself, but she gives you the impression that Sean Baker saw her on the street, said, that's the character I have in my script, here you go. But really, she auditioned. The script was not accommodated for her. It was written before she got on. But you would swear that this was crafted exclusively for Dree
like
Hemingway.
A vehicle for her. Yeah. Like they crafted it around her. Yeah. She's got who she reminds me of in this? Bridget Fonda. I got a very, she reminded me of Bridget Fonda from
Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown. Thank you. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I don't know if that was the aesthetic they were going for, but she just looks like a very young Bridget Fonda in this movie to me.
No, totally. Yeah.
And yeah, she was fantastic. She was excellent. The movie it takes its time. Like it doesn't. It's not rushing you through scenes. He's kind of resting on some things and letting things sort of happen. You know, he's not trying to push the pace, as it were.
Yeah, you don't learn that she's a porn star until 45 minutes into the picture,
Yeah,
which is a brave decision to make.
Yeah, my note was it doesn't seem like we should know that she's in the porn business. Like I knew it because I'd read up about the film, just this the basic plot of it. But yeah, and then suddenly, boom, here we are.
Oh boy, are you not kidding? That's one hell of a scene.
That's one hell of a scene. Yeah, when we got to that scene, it was like, okay, that's graphic.
Yeah, that's why it's for mature audiences only. That's the tagline for you.
Yeah, audiences. There's full on penetration in this movie. Full on. I mean, it's like a scene from Caligula at one point. It's a double, but it's of course. Yeah. But what they're doing has not been doubled.
No.
Yeah.
Not.
I was of two minds of thought with it. Like overall, as a filmmaker, I wasn't sure why
to put it in
to go that far. But then I realized I think he's trying to show like the banality of it, just the kind of
the mundanity of sex work.
Mundane of it, right? Like it's not that big a deal. But at the same time, he does show quite a bit of the underbelly of the
like turning a doorknob in the doorknob factory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mundane. It's also kind of, I don't know, a little seedy and kind of gross. You know, like when you get to, you're like, oh, this is,
I think it's supposed to be though, right? I
Yeah,
think it's
absolutely.
bland, and I don't know if it's necessarily supposed to be a titillating scene.
Right. Exactly.
And it's seedy, but it's not judgmental.
Yeah.
True.
It's not saying these people are sick. There's something wrong with them. It's just flat out saying like, this is a job.
This is it.
This is a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Vegas to promote. You do whatever you need to do. You get your money. Then you come to the next shoot and you do that too.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it works. It's a fact of life.
This gave me more of that early aughts vibe of, or even before, like movies like Kids or 13 or another one I was thinking like Bully, kind of of off kilter vibe. But this one's got a little bit more maturity to it than some of those, I think. And I think that's because coming in at 2012, we had already gotten past a lot of that as far as filmmaking went. But it does make me very curious about his other films. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
They're all outstanding.
He
has not made a bad film in his entire life.
Well, so this one, $250,000 in 2011 was when he shot this. 2012, so
which is a lot for a movie with that scene.
Yeah, I mean, well, $250,000 is like, I mean, good job. I mean, if he shot this on, would he shoot it on film or on digital? Do we know?
Digital.
Yeah. Okay. So he got away with a lot. So $250,000 is not bad, especially for one of your early films. I'm pretty impressed with what he pulled off with it.
And the story of Besedka Johnson is an interesting one. This is the only movie she ever made.
Mm-hmm.
She was discovered after getting a knee surgery, I think it was. She was recovering at a YWCA, I think, if I'm remembering the story right. It was discovered by a producer for this film who thought she was perfect for the part. She had never done any acting before. She does this role. She gets all sorts of acclaim for it, and then she's gone. What an interesting way to spend the last year and a half of your life. But wow,
so
I would have liked to have seen her more. Yeah.
So she's no longer with us.
No. Yeah, she passed in 13. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, yeah, that's a hell of a way to go out.
Yeah. It's going to be a lasting legacy. It's you only made one movie, but you made a very impactful one. It does make me wonder, because I know this movie is on Tubi currently, if it's completely uncut on an ad-based service.
Good question.
I don't know what their standards are for adult.
It should be, because I've seen some pretty outlandish stuff on
okay.
Tubi, and it's not edited, so it should be the movie.
Fascinating.
I don't think there's another cut.
Yeah, because it would be it's not the same movie without that in a way. You're kind of neutering it a bit.
Maybe. I mean, I think you could probably get away with it. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have the same impact.
I
It's
know what
kind of
you mean,
like
but
it's kind of like
directors.
it's kind of like Raimi talking about the the scene with the vines going and vines
Well,
the vines
yeah, I guess.
violating that girl, and he says, looking back, I probably wouldn't have done it. Right? I did it at the
Right.
time because I thought it was shot value and horror and all that type of stuff. But he says, looking back, I probably would have done. I don't know. I can see. But maybe it doesn't have the same impact. Maybe it doesn't really deliver that banality and that sort of like, yeah, this is just a job,
Right.
pull the lever, wait for the next, factory thing. It's not a big, I mean, and of course there's a whole discussion to be had about, whether or not that's a good way to look at it, or whether that's a good job to have or whatever. But I like the fact that the movie doesn't judge or preach on it. It's
it just
like, here
shows
it is.
all sides of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good because that's not really what the movie's about. I mean, it's just the movie's about this girl and this lady.
And it's a very Sean Baker thing. Like he's an absolute
I've noticed he's
humanist
worked in that
to his
milieu
core.
a couple times, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Like,
Red Rocket's about a porn star, right? Or about
Red
an
Rocket
ex-porn star.
is like the comedic other side of the coin to Starlet.
Gotcha.
Where it verges on flat out farce at times, but it still retains that sense of these are human beings. They might be despicable in the case of Red Rocket, but they're still human beings.
Mm-hmm. I got nervous when the movie first started because it starts with the classic person waking up. Like that's one of the things in screenwriting they tell you not to do. Don't start with the shot on the alarm clock in the morning and it going off. It's the hand hitting snooze or whatever. So it's like, oh, but right away it was like, oh, okay, that's the only thing he did that I expected or was like, had a question about. Everything else from then on was just kind of like he takes you by the hand and just has you follow this girl through her journey of finding this money.
Mm-hmm. The movie made me kind of anxious throughout because I kept thinking the other shoe was going to drop because you're trained from other movies that
to wait till
something bad is going to happen. And so I think watching it again, I'd probably be a little bit looser with it and maybe be able to enjoy some of the subtle comedy that's tucked throughout the movie as well.
There did seem to be some weird herrings. Like I have one of my notes is like, what a terrible place to hide your money. Like, why would you put $10,000 in a fucking shoe and just lay it in your closet where anybody can get a hold of it? It just seems like a really weird play. And she doesn't seem to have any plans for the money either, right? Other than, she goes out and spends some, and then she's like, well, I feel bad. I'll go give it back to this lady. But
her friends don't even notice her nails are all expensive. Yeah. Like, where'd you get the money to buy the Starlet thing? But they're all zonked out on the couch playing video games all day.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's like she finds this money, she hides it, she spends a little, but she doesn't really have a plan for it. She hides it at a terrible place, but they all seem to be maybe that's the director's red herrings to
she
when you're like, hey,
well,
right?
She doesn't have a plan for it. Is practically her family crest. She doesn't have a plan for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the end, she just approaches. She approaches her and says, "Okay, we're going. I got 2 unrefundable tickets to Paris. We're going right now." It's like, maybe you should have put a little thought into that, just a little bit, but no, she's just barreling right through. That's just how her interior process works.
True.
She's like Bernadette in that respect. Yeah.
It's one of my notes is also it's not clear she does porn, and then 2 notes next after that is, oh, okay, it's very clear now she does porn. And I felt like it was kind of like one of my notes here is that it's kind of like a rope-a-dope on the explicitness. It was like you very much weren't expecting it, right? Like,
and it never gets back to that point,
right? Yeah, it very much so. Very much.
He made
so.
his point.
Purposeful. Yep. Yeah, and another note is this is not the type of film I'd probably want to shoot. Honestly, I'm not really. Not really, shooting anything like that.
I was reading about this director, and he was talking about intimacy coordinators, and he said he's done over 10 intimate sex scenes throughout his movies, and he thinks he does a pretty good job of making sure that everybody's, being taken care of. But if somebody were to request one, he would have no problem at all having somebody there,
Sure. Well, I mean, if he's done 10 types of those and has never had a complaint, or there's no but I mean, I'm sure he's handling it
And it
quite
would
well.
make sense since he seems to know a lot about the adult industry and has a fascination with it. He
Yeah, I
also
don't know
created
how much
Greg
he
the Brain.
researched or how much he spent time on sets, but it
Mhm.
does feel genuine.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he got his start directing some of that stuff. I don't know. Or in that industry, there's no telling. I mean, people come from that industry. Um, there's some excellent moments in the movie. Some really nice shots. The dog park with the power lines, where the two of them are just sitting there talking.
Mm.
Love it. Absolutely love it. The color palette feels a little washed out to me, and there are points of it where I was like, are we in Florida? It felt kind of like Florida for a bit, but no, it's California. But it's some really nice stuff in there.
I like to think that it's the updated sequel to Boogie Nights. It's
I
the
had
same
definitely had
basic
Boogie
area,
Nights vibes. Yeah, yeah.
except now
Completely.
everybody's driving around in 2000s cars and listening to crappy crunk music.
Oh, speaking of cars, did you guys notice the car changes on her?
Oh, yeah, the continuity.
Yeah, it's a Probe at one point, and then I think it's a Probe or a Saturn, and it's a Saturn for sure. And then it changes to a different car, and then back to a Saturn. That's classic. That's classic. Um, small money movie making right there.
Yeah, I'm sure there was an availability reason or
Right.
something for that.
Oh yeah, had to. Or maybe it was a reshoot. Something I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I
think I noticed it, but didn't really I knew something was off. And then when I read the little trivia about it after, I was like, oh, okay. Now you're pointing it out to me that I can see if there was a different car.
Yeah, Ryan. One of my notes was so Boogie Nights for millennials with a question mark.
Yeah, except the soundtrack just doesn't match up.
No.
That's the one thing that really differentiates these two. Is man, I could listen to that Boogie Nights soundtrack forever. I would never listen to the soundtrack to Starlet, ever. I mean, that Crazy Town song is stuck in my head, and I don't want Crazy Town in my brain. I just don't.
Is that the "Come My Lady,
bitch.
come my lady"? Is
yeah. That's them.
Oh,
during the stripper pole scene.
Meshuggah, baby. Oh,
yeah.
The boyfriend serves up some weird Christian Bale vibe to me. I don't know why.
That's Ziggy Sabatka from The Wire. And he's also in Tangerine, and I think he's in Anora as well, but I'm not sure. But he's one of Sean Baker's Good Luck Charms.
Gotcha.
Just like the porn impresario is a taxi driver in Tangerine, and he's definitely in Anora. He plays one of the Russian big heavies in that film.
I like that it kind of it seems like it's wandering with no purpose, much like this, like you said, with this girl's life. She's just kind of adrift. I mean, she's got a job and she seems responsible, but at the same time, she doesn't have a plan. She's not going anywhere. I like that, and he lets that play out and lets it go. One of my favorite other shots in the movie was the cut to the tea kettle boiling while she's thinking about the money.
Mm-hmm.
And all that's just I felt it was an excellent way to kind of indicate emotion and pressure. I really liked that.
Yeah.
So go ahead, bud.
No, I was just gonna say I didn't like the way it ended. I think I'm probably alone amongst the three of us in this, but I wanted just a little bit more at that end. I wanted just a little bit more.
What do you think would happen after that? I know it would be awkward. I kind of like that it stops there, but you are left wondering with the ambiguity of
right. Yeah,
it's the say anything ending.
Yeah, it is.
It's where do we go now?
Only we don't even get to the airport.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not even on the plane, right? Can we at least just get to the plane? Can we have a discussion about something? I don't know. It's weird that the film has little to no denouement at all.
Yeah.
It's just like bam, like you said, say anything and then boom, it's over. Let's see. Oh, the note. Marty, did you have any other notes?
I did enjoy it overall. Both these two movies, what the things I feel they had in common were, well, I don't know if this is in common, but for me, I felt they both got better the more they went along. Both movies.
Yeah, I agree.
And I really enjoyed this one. I feel like both movies do have that theme of unlikely friendships in them. Like you weren't expecting this almost like Harold and Maude kind of relationship to take place in this one. And
What
the
I
other
love
movie
about it
has
is that it feels captured.
right.
Like it feels like
real.
the
Yeah.
moments between scenes as opposed to the actual scenes themselves.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I think what I liked about it more than anything, what I appreciated about more than anything, is that it had some very simple. It's dealing with some very simple themes that we've seen in a lot of movies. We've seen, like you just mentioned, Harold and Maude. We've seen the theme of, I just found a bunch of money. What am I going to do with it? You know, but it took them and did original things with them instead of rehashing or just hitting the same old beats.
If she's got plenty of money, it didn't matter. We
Right.
never even find out why the money was stuck in the thermos. Probably her husband is a gambler. He probably stashed money in there. And she probably never even knew, or maybe she did know. Right?
Every movie Sean Baker makes should begin with him looking into the camera saying, "Now I know you've heard this before, but,"
Okay.
and then
So
let the movie
he does
start.
that. Okay, so that's his thing. I know you've seen the guy who survives the car crash and changed his life, but I'm going to do it completely
Have you
different.
seen it
Yeah.
like this?
I like that. I respect that quite a bit because that's the real trick of it, right? Is
I'm supposed to flip it.
there's only so many stories to tell. It's how you tell it.
Yeah, there's what's that one person said? There's 9 stories overall.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean you can take different variations of them, but eventually you end up
You're gonna run
stepping over
out.
the same ground. Yeah.
It's a finite amount of material.
hmm Yeah, I mean, the more we talk about this movie, honestly, the more I like it, the more I think about it, and the more I like it. I sort of let it wash over me as I was watching it, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It felt like that '90s nihilism all over again. Where I was just like, I've seen this before, but done really well.
Yeah, like when we watched Go a few weeks ago, like that's a real polished, almost.
Yes.
Even though that was very indie too, but it was more polished. And then you get to this, and it's like we've stripped it down back to the Boogie Nights.
Yeah, we've come full circle back to the nihilism of the '90s, and I don't mind that at all. It's fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I'll probably I might watch it again, but it's probably not one I'm gonna put in my library and watch a lot.
Yeah, like I want to watch the rest of his movies, but I think I need a
Same.
little bit of time in between because I'm still thinking about this one. It's pretty heavy. It's good though. I give it a 3 also, but I think with time I might give it a higher rating the more if I go back to it. And this is just like we've said before on the show. It's just how we felt after the initial viewing, which for me was like maybe 2 days ago. So it's still kind of processing the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely didn't hate it.
No.
And would definitely recommend if you haven't seen it and you like Sean Baker's movies, definitely catch this one. What about you, Ryan?
I give it a 5.
Wow. Okay.
This is one of my very favorite movies. That's why immediately I suggested it. Because it was like, I was looking at the list you guys gave me and I was like, well, I could do Beverly Hills Cop. And then I realized, no, wait, Starlet. I never get to talk about Starlet.
Great.
I mean, it's in my top 4 on Letterboxd. So I don't know where in the top 4 it is, but it's not in my top 4 movies of all time, but it's one of those, it's definitely top 20. It's a movie that I can't believe I've only seen twice because I love literally every single moment so much that I will probably definitely be watching this more in the future if I get into a habit of watching movies again, which I'm trying not to do.
What is it that really hits you about the film that puts it into the 5-star for you?
It's just so human, and it's watching people interact. I'm not watching characters. I'm watching people commiserate and share how they feel about their place in the universe without actually saying it out loud. Just kind of doing, saying the quiet part quiet and the loud part loud. And I adore Sean Baker immensely. And if every single movie that he made was this good, he might be the greatest director that we have living today.
Well, that's a bold statement, sir.
Praise. But I understand.
And I stand by it.
Okay. Well, great. Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing that one to us. that was yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right,
Thanks for
now I
giving
know.
it 3 stars.
Well, 3 stars is,
3
that's
stars
for
is
me, that's
good.
pretty good.
Yeah, whatever. Shut up.
All right, so let's talk about Where'd You Go, Bernadette. Let's see. Directed by Richard Linklater.
Hell yeah.
Yes, this is a hell of a guy. Starring Kate Blanchett.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. A loving mom becomes compelled to reconnect with her creative passions after years of sacrificing herself for her family. Her leap of faith takes her on an epic adventure that jumpstarts her life and leads her to her triumphant rediscovery. I don't feel like that's the movie I watched at all. Let me go down to the storyline here. Let's see here. Storyline. Based on the runaway bestseller, Where'd You Go, Bernadette is an inspiring comedy about Bernadette Fox, played by Oscar winner Kate Blanchett, a loving mom who becomes compelled to reconnect with her creative passions after years of sacrificing herself for her family. That's it.
Yeah, and the book was written in the form of letters and correspondence, so apparently it was a very difficult one to turn into a filmable screenplay.
Ooh, epistolary. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So just like Carrie.
Yeah. So I think it explains its wandering nature for about the first half, but I also thought that maybe that was on purpose to make the audience feel about as scatterbrained as Bernadette does for the first part.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I watched a movie about. I mean, look, I get that she's a mother, she's going to sacrifice things for her family, but I feel like what I was watching was a movie about a person who was slowly going crazy because she didn't have a creative outlet, and that's really when we finally got to that point, I was like, oh, this makes complete sense. She's an artist. I mean, an architect is an artist. If you're not creating, that shit can really drive you mad. Marty and I have been there many times.
When about a half hour into the movie, when she picks up the laptop and we start finding out about her past career and building the 20-mile house, is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I thought, oh, she's having issues because she's a creative person and she doesn't have an outlet anymore. And so the movie keeps going up until she's having lunch with Lawrence Fishburne, and he says, you don't care about any of this stuff. Your problem is you're not being creative. And when you're not being creative, you become a menace. At which point I had to pause the movie and realize that I had been seen at that point. Obviously I'm not some, millionaire architect, but as far as the creative thing, if I'm not doing my creative ventures on a regular basis, the mind starts to wander and irritation happens, random fights with people online, ugly shit that probably shouldn't be happening because I need to focus on creating things. So while as this movie's far from perfect, it had enough moments in it that made me I related to it in many ways that I haven't.
Yeah, when I watch it, I see like, oh, she has mental illness issues. She has hardcore insomnia. She has eroded former promise. I'm basically a less sexy Bernadette. I haven't done serious writing in like 5 years, and I think it's killing my soul.
Mm-hmm.
I literally feel like I'm done. It's the little deaths every day.
Yep.
It's just killing me.
That's how Marty and I feel. That's what dude, we got to write script. We got to make a movie.
Like I got inspired by the movie in a way of like, oh, I'm not. Obviously, we're not alone. People all have these same issues, but to have it be so clearly spoken in the movie, it made me realize, well, no wonder this was such a huge bestseller. There must be a lot of other people in the world who feel the same way. And
yet people seem to fucking hate this movie.
It is polarizing, isn't it? Yeah.
I think partly because it's not a movie that's going to hold your hand and say, here's why Bernadette's having problems.
Yeah. Here's everything's going to be okay.
Here's Bernadette's struggle, and here's why this person's because even the person that's menacing to her and supposedly driving her crazy, which is played by Kristen Wiig's character, is just a kind of, she's in kind of a overly kind of one of those moms. Yeah, but at the same time, she's not being a bitch. She's just saying, dude, we got to clear this stuff out. We got to do this. Hey, and Bernadette's just like, you're the devil. You're the worst person ever. I don't know. They don't play these sort of stereotypical roles in the film, and the film's not holding your hand and saying, "Look, she's a terrible person. Look, this person's," you know, it's
Everyone's multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cliff, it's like in our movie where Billy is like, if there's more than 2 people in the room, I'm the asshole.
Yes.
I can't be around these people. And I was like, oh, the Bernadette character, I kind of
She damn near says the exact same thing in her, in the film.
Same thing from it,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this movie felt almost like it was a Cameron Crowe movie to me in parts. But this has more of those Linklater twists and turns that he's famous for.
It'd be called "We Bought a Bernadette."
Dude, I was just about to say, I got "We Bought a Zoo" vibes. It's one of my notes. Like I'm getting "We Bought a Zoo" vibes from this thing, and what I mean by that is like he and Linklater both have started to tackle these subjects about family and about that type of thing, or at least including that in their work. I mean, this is the guy who made Slacker and Dazed and Confused, and
it's atypical. It's definitely
very
atypical for him.
Yeah,
but still has that touch.
Yeah,
it's still unmistakably a Richard Linklater movie.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he makes has his stamp on it, and it's not necessarily a visual stamp. It's not necessarily a thematic stamp, but there is a certain ethos and a certain kind of vibe to it that always happens whenever you get a Richard Linklater movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're always watchable.
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
And the cast. Oh my God, Judy Greer, Megan Mullally, James Urbaniak.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking kidding me?
Right.
Dr. Venture's in this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Zahn for like
Zahn
30 seconds?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a good cast. I think my only problem was I feel like the teenage girl struggled to keep up a little bit with the star power that was there. She was good, but serviceable. But it was just
I can't.
It is her introducing movie.
Yeah. She was good, but boy, I mean, I mean, hell, dude. I mean, imagine being up against, again, Academy Award winner and Billy Crudup and all these other people. It's got to be rough. It's got to be intimidating as hell. I have a note here that says, let's see here. If you use my copper-clad stock pot to catch a leak in the roof, you're going to be hearing about it for a long time and probably catch a beating. Those fuckers are expensive. So yeah, that was just a weird note.
I like how they know that she's there when they see the bucket at the South Pole. It's like, yep, Mom must be here because she's already got the bucket with the towel in it catching the leaks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's funny.
And I know that it's not very realistic. And then even in the beginning of the movie, I thought, is this just going to be a movie about the upper 1%, these rich people with rich people problems? And then as it goes, I realized, as about 20 minutes in, it's like, oh no, this is more about, things that everybody can go through. It's just presenting it to you in this kind of grand version that ends with her going all the way to the South Pole, which to me, it's like, if you look at it linear, it's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of almost ridiculous. But if you read between the lines, it's saying things like fortune favors the bold, and, and she found her purpose again, which is like, that was the medicine she needed to get herself back on track. She just needed to go out there and do it. And it's like, look, I don't want to take you to the South Pole. You have to go through all this shit. And it's basically like, well, if you take me, it's like, look, I'm already here and I'm willing to do the work. So you have to take me on because I'm already fucking here. And who else wants to build this thing? And so I liked all that stuff.
I love when she points out that there's a state senator who trained to be an oil technician.
Yeah, diesel mechanic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and then what is she doing? She's fixing the diesel engine with the guy a little bit later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's down there. Okay, I'll make myself useful.
Yeah, she's been trying to fix up that big house, and it's just she can't get a grip on that big empty house. She needs to be,
It harkens all the way back. What you said earlier harkens back to That Thing You Do, which is your favorite thing in that movie is just keep on playing.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and she failed to keep on playing, and it damn near drove her crazy. Right,
mm-hmm.
You got to keep doing your art. You got to keep doing what you're supposed to do,
yeah.
Ryan.
Oh, well,
it's hard sometimes.
Jeez.
Like this movie shows you how it is hard sometimes, and it also shows the further away from you get, the bigger the hole becomes, and the harder it is to pull yourself back out of it. But it also shows you that you can jumpstart yourself back out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So It's just that there's a lot that I related to in it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a movie set at Christmas. It seems like every fourth or fifth movie we do, there's a scene at Christmas. But is this a Christmas movie? No, it just has a scene at Christmas.
If it has a scene at Christmas, that makes it a Christmas movie. We've concluded
disagree.
this on Reels of Justice.
I disagree.
Die Hard is guilty of being a Christmas movie. So is this.
I think the movie has to be about Christmas for it to be a Christmas movie.
No, you're wrong.
No, I'm not.
Cliff, you're wrong. I hate to tell you this, but you're wrong.
So when you put on My Cousin Vinny with your family this year, Cliff, then throw this one on next and see if...
right? There you go. Hey, it's a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm. Then
hey, hope you like being depressed for 45 minutes. There you go.
Well, family. Holiday movies are depressing, so you got something there. The more depressing, the better on Christmas, I find, because Christmas seems to uplift even the darkest films.
Well, I mean, this movie, I'll say that I like the last half of this movie more than I like the first half.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I had a lot of questions in the first half, which is great. They got answered in the last half, which I liked.
Yeah, it gets going.
I feel like things got a little tied up a little too neatly in a bow at the end, which is, it was watching, within a week watching Sean Baker's movie and then this movie, it was like two totally different approaches at it. Right. Like Sean was like, hey, fucking boom, here's your say anything ending, get the fuck out of my face. And then over here, it's like, hey, let's wrap it up in a nice bow. The family's happy. Everything's wonderful, So it was definitely a contrast.
And you get to see her build the station.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That was cool.
It's one of the few not post credits, but it's one of the few credit scenes that you definitely need to sit in your seat in the theater and finish.
I definitely liked watching that. That was interesting. And I guess that was, I looked it up. Some architectural firm did that. It was pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't remember who. I think it might be on IMDb here, but let me see. No. Anyway, yeah, it was an architectural firm I read. I think it was Wikipedia that said that there was an architectural firm that actually did that. So, it's the design and construction in the closing credits is the Halley 6 British Antarctic Research Station.
Very cool.
Well, that's pretty neat.
It did seem like that was real, right? At those end credits. So I was like, wait, this isn't based on a real story, but this feels
That's why I looked it up, because I was like, is this based on like a real person who actually built this? And then I was like, oh, okay, no, it's an amalgamation. It was cool though. The scene where they show up to commit her was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Where because she's like the more she's like, I can fix this. It's not a big deal. The worse it's like, you're not getting out of this. You're going somewhere. And I don't blame her for running at all.
It's something as a bipolar human being watching her in that moment. I'm like, I've been here.
Oof.
I've not had an intervention in my life. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
I probably should have had a few, but I never have. But I can imagine if I did, I would react exactly like Bernadette does.
Mm-hmm.
I would be that obstinate. I would be that just challenging and just venomous towards anybody who tried to approach me.
Yeah. Well, she's panicked too. She's panicked.
Yeah. It's Blanchett's best scene in the entire movie. She's so fucking good in that scene. Oh my God.
She's good in everything she does.
Well, don't need to tell me that.
Yeah.
I'm aware of how good Cate Blanchett is. Okay.
I've heard you're a fan. I've heard you're a fan.
A little bit.
Did you enjoy Tar, by the way?
I love Tar.
I thought it was fucking brilliant.
Absolutely love Tar.
Yeah. We'll have to get to that one on the show eventually. But this was good. This was pretty good. I don't have a lot of other notes, movies about kind of ennui and art and all that stuff. That's right up my alley.
I always tend to find a lot of Linklater's movies relatable in some way or another, but this was definitely up there as far as extreme relatability. Right up there with like Boyhood and Before Midnight, and now this one. It's like even this one that's kind of one of his weirder, not as personal. There was still enough of his touches in there, and especially the whole I feel seen aspect of it that I haven't related to a movie that hard probably since like Ghost World or something.
So you go Midnight over Sunset?
Oh, they're both really good for different reasons, though. But I don't want to talk too much about Midnight because Cliff hasn't seen it yet, and I want to
Oh, never
show
mind.
it to him pretty soon. But
Great
yeah,
movie. Great movie.
I hope so. Sunset, I wasn't too enamored with Sunset. I mean, it was fine,
Sunrise, right?
but it really, Sunrise. It didn't really blow me away. So I'm hoping Sunset and the other ones are better.
They are.
Good. Good.
You go from a gentleman's 9 to 2 gentleman's 10s.
Explain to our audience what a gentleman's 9 is.
A gentleman's 9 is a 4.5 stars, but it's a polite way of putting across a movie rating that I stole from Blank Check and have since incorporated it into the vocabulary of Reels of Justice and One Track Mind. And now whenever I have a guest and I talk about a movie and I call it a gentleman's whatever, I'm not looking at them because we're recording voice only, but I'm pretty sure the look on their face is like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah.
Gentleman's 6? What? To me now, it's just, now I talk to my family and if I come home from a movie and I talk to my parents and I'm like, I just saw the greatest movie. It was a Gentleman's 8. And they're just like, yeah, of course it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gentleman's 8. You got it. Oh, man. This is pretty late in Linklater's whole run here. This is what, 2018, right?
Yeah. 2019.
2019. Yeah. So relatively recent.
Mm-hmm.
Has he done anything since this?
He did Apollo 11.5, which is pretty good. It's okay. He did
Hitman.
Hitman, which is great.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, still got to watch that.
Oh, so good. So good.
What do you think, Marty? Any other notes on this one?
I guess if I'm doing my math right, I think it's a gentleman's 7. 3.5. Did I do the math right on that?
You did.
Because 3 is usually the movie's doing something that's really standing out to me, and 3.5 is like borderline getting to an all-timer. But since it had a little bit of trouble getting started, even though I feel like that was important to the pacing, I still can't really go much higher than 3.5. But boy, did I really enjoy this one for a lot of reasons. So.
I can go with 3.5 also. Yeah, I think what's holding me back is again, it ties up a little bit too nicely at the end, and a couple other things like that. But I like the movie quite a bit, and I'm right there with you with the whole, you need to create your art or you're going to go crazy type of thing. I'm all about that. I thought that was great. Ryan, what about you, sir?
Gentleman's 7. We're all in agreement on
there
one
we go.
movie. There we
Hey,
go.
No reason for any hard feelings on this one.
Yeah, I won't be mad about Starlet at all anymore because we've clearly broken bread over Where'd You Go, Bernadette.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad about Starlet, not at all. Why? Can you tell in my voice that I'm being completely sincere?
I think it's going to continue to grow on me. I've only had a
I do too.
process.
It better.
So it's still percolating in the brain, kind of. I certainly haven't stopped thinking about it. Definitely.
I'm looking forward to his. What it's got me doing is looking forward to his future movies. I'm like, okay, that was good. I want to see what he did with Red Rocket. And I remember the Florida Project. Did it pop up during the Oscar races?
Yeah, because of Willem Dafoe.
Right. Okay.
Who should have won, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. I forgot he's in that. So yeah. So I mean, I'm looking forward to that. So those are the ones I'm really looking forward to seeing. We'll have to drag those onto the show at some point too.
Yeah, we last saw Willem Dafoe on this show in, what was it called? Animal
Lighthouse.
Factory, but it was also The Lighthouse, too.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so good in The Lighthouse. Oh, my God.
Oh, I love that movie.
So is Pattinson. Pattinson's fucking amazing in that movie.
Yeah, the imagery in that movie is stunning.
The mermaid vagina.
Jesus Christ! I was like, really? Okay. The whole thing where he's got the trident and he's the underwater god. I can't remember his name.
Neptune.
Yeah, Neptune. He's got the light coming out of his eyes and his mouth and shit. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
So, you got anything you want to plug, Ryan?
Yeah, listen to Reels of Justice. We have a prosecutor, defender, judge, and jury in a fake court, and we try to determine if a movie is guilty of being a bad movie. And then One Track Mind, every other week, myself and a guest, we analyze film through the prism of audio commentaries. It's a very pro-physical media podcast.
Interesting.
Every single recommendation I give on the show has to be on disc in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just hit, recording-wise, our 60th episode, which means we are officially a toddler in podcast years.
Nice.
And you can find that show. You can find Reels of Justice at Reels of Justice on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. You can find One Track Mind on X at One Track Mind Pod on Instagram, where I spend most of my time is the numeral 1 Track Mind Podcast, because some son of a bitch took one with ONE.
Unbelievable.
And on One Track Mind on Blue Sky, Facebook, and Podchaser.
Nice. Get out there and listen to those podcasts, guys. Reels of Justice is hilarious. And that One Track Mind, I've only listened to one episode so far. It was really good, though. Enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm caught up on that one with the just heard the Cabin Boy and the Coraline. Yeah, I always get
Coraline. That was a fun one because that was Candice Murdalero, my guest. That was her favorite movie ever. And when I suggested on Facebook, I put up, "Does anybody want to talk to me about Coraline?" And immediately she popped up and she's like, "My favorite movie." Okay, good. Don't need to ask anybody else. We're done. That's hers.
That's great.
All right. So I guess that's wrap it up for this week. I'm glad we were turned on to both of these movies. I hadn't seen either of them before. The one I'd been wanting to see, the other I didn't know it existed, and now I feel all the better for having watched both of them, which is more than I can say for some weeks around here.
I haven't had a real string of luck giving him movies this season. He's really almost hated almost everything I've handed him, so it was nice to give him something he liked.
But then he gave me Ghost Dog, which I hadn't seen before, and I was just like, well, that's amazing.
True.
Ghost Dog rules.
Yeah,
I fucking love that movie so much.
Great.
So fucking good. That soundtrack is like
anything RZA, give me that, and I will eat that shit up. That should have been the soundtrack to Starlet.
Yep.
Then I'd listen to it.
Right.
Somebody remix that up.
RZA, get on that, would you?
RZA, or get Ghostface in there. Any one of the Wu-Tang. Put meth in there. Put red. Doesn't matter to me.
So does having to watch a movie every week for reels that you might not want to watch, does it get grating after a while? Does it stay amusing?
Marty, it's very hard.
I figured it might.
It is a very hard job to have that I don't get paid for.
Yeah, I feel
have had to watch some truly, truly shitty movies. But I have since adopted a new system of doing this. It doesn't matter what I think about the movie. If the person defending or prosecuting does their job, that's the case I go with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, despite the fact that I hate about 80% of the movies we've done on this show, I have voted maybe 50%. But still, we watch some real shitty movies. But you don't have to watch the movies to understand the show. Hopefully, we do a good job of explaining things. And we spoil enough so that you feel like you've seen the movie and that you never actually have to go out and watch it.
Right.
Well, you got the Twilight episode right. That's what counted.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah. All I got to say about that is baseball.
I was worried that was going to sway the jury, to be completely honest with you.
It swayed me. And I've seen that movie 30 times. Not a joke, not an exaggeration. 30 times.
I've seen it more times than I care to admit, but not that many. But like I said, I had to read. I didn't have to, but I read the books. So.
Well, see, I worked at Blockbuster.
Wonderful
so
form of pain.
We had to watch it.
Right, because it put on damn loop. Yeah. Oh. What other ones were like that when you worked at Blockbuster? Titanic or any weird shit like that? Or
no, luckily I got in there in 2007, so the 90s were completely flushed from the record banks. But it was Twilight was a lot. Juno.
Oh my!
Quite a few times. Which I don't know how we did that, because that is really pushing the edge of PG-13, and it's supposed to be PG movies only. But let's see, Tron Legacy was a big one that we played for the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And let me think of one last one. Madagascar. I've seen more times than I care to admit, and yet I remember not a single second of it, and I'm so grateful for my wacky brain.
I had to play Tron Legacy at I ran a movie theater for about 7 years, and so I got to play from 2009 till 2007. Sorry, till 2012, 13. So 6 or 7 years right in there. I got to
that Daft Punk score is so fucking good.
It's fucking great.
Oh my God, just injected into my veins. Oh my
especially when it's on a big loud ass fucking sound system. It's amazing.
Yes, I saw that in IMAX, and it was the greatest experience ever.
It was good.
I just closed my eyes and just listened to The Grid.
Yeah.
I got in. I know all the lyrics to that song simply because it's been burned in my brain. Oh, I love it.
Well, all right. Well, then the only thing I have left to say is connectitude. So that's my quote from the movie. So connectitude. It's not a real word, guys.
Yes, connectitude.
Yes. I don't want to be a menace. There you go.
Right. Why did they name the movie after the dog? That's the only other question I have about Starlet.
I don't know. Why did they name Priscilla?
Why did we name the movie after the dog?
After the bus?
Yeah. Definitely, that movie definitely, like we were talking about, had those Paris Hilton vibes.
Oh yeah, the one dog at the time.
Don't say that about my Starlet. Don't you dare compare her to
Starlet was
Paris
a great
Hilton.
actor. That is a very good performance from that dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love that dog.
All right. Well, with that, let's get on out of here. Ryan, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it. And again, thanks for bringing Starlet. We enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime, you guys. This was fun.
Sweet. Well, then we will definitely probably be hitting you up again. All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Later.
Bye-bye.
Support the show on Buzzsprout for only $3 a month. Give us a 5-star review on Spotify or the platform of your choice. And be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page.